Hey folks, Green Stuff Gav here. We've got another surprise unboxing from WePrint Miniatures. Now, for those who don't know, WePrintMiniatures.com do a variety of different 3D printed miniatures from different studios and put them up for sale. Now, they've currently just had a painting contest finished, and it's too late to order for the painting contest, but I think this is the miniature. So I thought we'd open it up and we'd paint it on stream. Although I'm too late for the contest itself, is hopefully we'll be in time for the next one. So let's have a look. I'll open this upside down so you guys don't see my address details. There we go. Right. We've got a little bell. Little haircut bell. 32mm base. Receipt. And this is a miniature that everyone's been painting, but unfortunately, like I say, I'm too late. It's very similar to Morrigan from Darkstalkers. A couple of supports left on here. Now we did obviously a fairly similar miniature for the Super Dungeon Explorer. So we'll have to do something different for this one. But first of all, I think we're going to go in and tidy some of these supports up. So yeah, I'm going to assemble it and paint it here on stream, on video, so you can see the whole process. Look, all this lovely detail, like how fine these fingers are. So we've got 32mm base here, so I thought we'd use this one to do something quite interesting. So I've got a slight idea what I'd like to do. Now I've got a blob of green stuff here. I'm going to spread it all the way around this base. I don't think I've got enough green stuff. It's close. So we've been undercoated in Colour Forge's matte black because it's my favourite spray. And we're going to start with a base. Now we can see I'm picking out all the runes and the break in yellow. So the idea being these are sort of like glowing runes on the base. Now you could theoretically paint the base first and then paint these afterwards, but I think these are going to be fairly subdued. So I'm going to slap some paint in first, and then when I paint the rest of the flagstones, then you should just get the colour poking through. It's not going to be too over the top. Theoretically, if you wanted OSL, you could do this and then go back over them so they look glowing, but that's not the effect I'm interested in. So we're going to wet brush a whole load of greys here, but be really careful that it doesn't go into those spaces. But we can see here it's already looking, giving us the effect we're after. Just by working up the greys, we can see just how yeah, subtle it looks. But yeah, you could go in and then just use a brighter yellow over and dab and sort of stipple over the top of the runes to make them glow. But instead, I'm going to just put this bit where her base bursts out of this one. Now, as I look at it, I realise I should have painted the rocks effect on her base at the same time to get the colour matching, but I just didn't think about it. So thankfully the paints are still fairly wet on the palette now, so I can sort of try and get them to match. Again, I'm going to go for that lighter yellow on her base, because that's where obviously all the flagstones are cracking and splitting. No doubt part of the magic. So you see I'm looking here and I can see the greys aren't quite right, so I'm going to just try and get them, because basically it's nice to do pretty bases, but they've got to be part of the miniature, otherwise they really break the look. So and while that glues, got to think about colours. We did obviously the Super Dungeon Explorer miniature in Morrigan's traditional colours, so I thought we'd go the opposite this time. So we're going to go for like a nice red skin, sort of a Succubus look. I'm not entirely sure on things like the cloth colours yet. We could go for the traditional black sort of leather, or we could go for like a real white, would be quite an interesting contrast, but I'm not quite sure yet. But we can see I'm mainly focusing on painting the legs first, because I am tempted to do fishnet stockings to really sort of like break the colours up. But as I'm looking at it, I think with all the cloth bits she's got, I don't think we need to break that red up. I think it would be detrimental. So again, we'd see I'm taking care to find all the skin parts, just to give them this first colour. See some of the pieces I'm going over in multiple coats, because obviously with how translucent these paints are, is you can just layer over the top with the same colour, and that will give you some basic highlighting. And being careful not to go all the way to the edges as well, because that will give us some black lining between the detail. See, tidy up, making sure I get everything. Then I'm going to mix in a slightly lighter red and go back over. Give us some highlighting. Again, we're going almost to the edge, but not quite, just leaving some of that original colour in the shadows. There you go, we can see already on the leg here how much difference that colour makes. Yeah, it's quite a lot of skin. I know that obviously traditionally should have stockings on, but no doubt everyone's doing actual Morrigan colours, so thought we'd be a bit different. See, again, going up through the reds. Just mix them together while they're still wet on the palette. It'll give us a nice sort of blend. Shouldn't be too stark a colour shift then. But we are like not going all the way to the edges to give us shadows. Because even if you're going in and doing OSL or object source lighting from like the flame around her feet or her hand, you would still paint the colours normally and then do the OSL on top. But I'm not entirely sure if I wanted. I'm not too good at OSL, so I'm not sure if I wanted to spend all the extra effort for something that might not look very good. Got all these fingers. Yeah, we see there we're not actually doing edge highlighting like is all the rage these days, but we're doing where the areas are actually raised for our final highlight. Again, this will just help sort of sell, you know, we're not painting things to be armies, just something subtle for a one-off. I'm still not sure on the clothes here, but I think if we could have left the hair black and gone for white for the sort of clothes, but I think I'm going to invert it and go for a sort of off-white hair colour, and that'll give us because she's got really nice flowing hair, that will help sort of break the colours up. So it does mean we're going to go for black leather for the clothing parts, because if we'd gone for white, then it would have been too much. It would have really brightened the paint job up. Here we're just literally, we've mixed the two colours together, we're just slapping them all over the hair, being careful obviously not to overspill onto any other areas, but also being careful to find all the bits where all the hair is, because with such a flow and such an intricate model like this, it's so easy to miss bits. Like here you can see we're going right round her back. It's really difficult to get to, but wouldn't have been the end of the world to have left it, but at least by using this base colour, if we do miss bits on the highlights, then it just looks like shading. Again, while it's still wet on the palette, we're going to mix some more Rakarth Flash in. Just pick all the hair out. You could do this via dry brushing, but dry brushing you risk hitting other bits, as well as the sculpt is really well defined. The hair is really well defined, so we can basically run our brush along, and that sort of picks us out the highlights and all the details. Yeah, real lovely sort of. We can already see the sort of like the colour shift here, where just by doing the hair this colour really lightens the model. So if we'd gone for all the clothing in this colour, the model itself would have been very much brighter. So see here, I'm testing that wing on her head, it's a little bit loose. But yeah, and again, so adding more and more Rakarth Flash just gives us extra highlighting. We're not looking at you know, going over the top, but just by layering that same colour really gives us that blend. See, we're where we're picking out just the strands themselves, gives this lovely depth to the colour. See how wonky that back wing is. So I try and put some super glue on a paper clip to feed it in there, and it falls off anyway. So pair of tweezers, dip it in some glue, leave it to dry. I don't want to go anywhere near that while the glue's drying, so I'm going to get some white, pick the eyes out. I had hoped to paint actual coloured pupils, maybe a green, bright green would be good, but I messed up all her eyebrows, so I'm just going to leave just plain white eyes. Picked out her lips as well and tidied up some of the black. We can see where the colours have gone. Now this wing confused me. I thought it was a misprint at first, but then realised she's pulling effectively the wing out to cast magic. So we're going to go yellow like the rest of the base, but to insinuate obviously this is magic fire, we're starting with a green straight over the black. And what we're doing here is when we're getting close to where it joins the wing, we're using the green almost as the highlight for the wing, because that will give us sort of a look of the blending. So while the green's still wet, we're sticking in some yellow, just mixing it all together. We're going really heavy with this because that will affect the colour itself. You see, while it's still wet, we're still mixing it in and highlighting, and that's giving us a blend. So that green will look more yellow than green. Now I need to let that dry for a bit before I do the next layer. So we're going to go in, because these are going to be black PVC, we're going to go in and like really heavy on the highlights. Not painting the whole miniature because then it will look grey, but just wherever the light sort of falls, we're sticking grey on there, so that'll give it a real sort of shine. You could go in and use a gloss black paint, but that sort of takes the fun out of it, if you ask me. Great if you want to do it en masse, but here I think we'll go over the top. You see I'm still avoiding the wings because I'm still not sure what I'm doing with them. So yeah, now we've done the grey, we're going in with like a white, a pure white, just on the very, very edge of the highlights. And that'll give us that sort of that gloss look towards PVC. Yeah, it's really over the top, but it'll look alright with the final miniature, I think. So yellow comes back out to finish off the flame. Again, we're going to pure yellow on all the highlights. You could go in and put this pure yellow along all the arm and that for OSL, but as I said, I ain't too bothered. Now I've decided here, I was tempted to do the big flappy bits of the wings in skin tone, but I think it makes more sense to have skin tone for all of the sort of the structure. Now if I decided this earlier, I could have done this when I was doing the rest of the skin, but we're just going straight up to the sort of the lighter colours now. Thankfully there's not a lot on those wings, so that will still give us the black. Which again will really affect the sort of the colour palette. If we'd gone for red for the skin for the flappy bits, then that would have been too much red on the miniature itself. So you've got to sort of bear in mind that obviously realism, they'd all be all skin tone, but we aren't dealing with realism here. Now she's got a little earring and there's some little knuckles on the wing there, but theoretically should be skin tone, but I think adding a touch of gold sort of insinuates the fact that they're not real. You know, everything to do with the succubus and the demon is adjustable. See, we're tidying up some of the black here, just really sort of tidying up the paint overlay, but also those highlights were really making them sharp. And little fluffy bits on her shoulders. I think we're just about done. As always, thanks for watching and have fun.